Hi, Heine, I'm going to give you some feedback on task number two in regards to English, as you probably know. Um, in general, this is a good text. There are some issues that I'd like you to consider for the next task that you'll be writing in English, task four. But just to give you sort of the bottom line is that in terms of your written English, you've got a good vocabulary, you write fluently. Generally, there are very few errors. There are two categories in which you tend to make errors. I'll get back to that. But in general, your sort of basic English skills are good. What I want to do for this feedback video is to talk about the global level and about paragraphs. If it doesn't make sense, go back to the PowerPoint that I presented the first time that we met. It will give you a definition of the terms that I'm using should you have forgotten. If I can begin at the global level with the structure, the overall structure of the whole text. The first thing that I notice is that there isn't a title. You've used the very obvious title, but not a title that gives me an indication of what you're going to be saying in this text. Now, when I start reading that, it makes sense to me why you haven't done that, because it seems this is about completing the two tasks that were in the task description. What that leaves the reader with is a lack of coherence between part one and then part two. Why are you writing about coin operations and air power and then about Pape, Mueller and Warden? What's the connection between the two? Now, I know the connection, obviously, and it does make sense as you read along, but it takes a while for the reader to understand what's the purpose. Why have you structured this text the way that you have? As the reader, as a teacher and a reader, I know why. But if I just was handed this text, I would be wondering, what's the connection here? Why have you chosen to do this? So keep in mind that when you write, when written communication is about giving your reader enough information to understand all the sort of workings out that you do and be able to follow those workings out. And that's something you need to consider. Now, it's about tweaking the structure. It's not about content. It's about the structure. So you're not that far off, but it seems that you need more focus on that. So, first of all, introduce the text as a text. You introduce coin, but you don't introduce the text. So start sort of with what sometimes is referred to, at least in Danish, as meta language. So I'm going to do the following. I'm going to first describe air power and coin operations, then I'm going to talk about Pape, Mueller and Warden and how we can employ their strategic thinking to something like ISIL. It's ISIL, not IS, by the way. Once we have that, that gives your reader kind of like a map. We're going from A to B in the following manner. And when you then start writing your body text, you signpost along the way, telling me, okay, how far down this route am I? How far am I from the conclusion? That makes it a lot easier and much more pleasant, and it gives you a lot of credibility as a writer, which is something that you want. You want to seem credible, you want to seem like a professional writing within his field. So introduce your text as a text, signpost along the way. This is a discussion. You're at the discussive level of Bloom's taxonomy, so we need a conclusion. What do you think? Based on everything that you've read, what's your opinion here? There is no conclusion. You end with Mueller. So conclude something that wraps up the text and your thinking. So you're sort of 80% there, but the last 20% is really about setting yourself up to be a credible communicator, a credible professional communicator within your own field. So that's in regard to the structure in general. Moving slightly down to the more local level, but not quite down to sort of word, sentence level, but kind of in between. We have the paragraphs. Your paragraphs are quite good. You either have a natural kind of instinctive knack for recognizing when a paragraph is a paragraph and does it have a topic sentence, all the things that I talked about the first time we met. What I would like you to work more on are the transitions between the paragraphs, and that actually goes back to the global level of signposting, because that's where you give me, you sew everything together neatly so that I know this is a coherent whole, not just a list of things. I need to know that as a reader. So a lot of things are working. Focus on structure, introducing the text, signposting, creating transitions. You need that, okay? Because you've got a lot of good things going on. Now, the two categories in terms of the very local level, word level, grammar, vocab, all of that, that I think you should consider is subject-verb agreement. You tend to make those congruence, is what we're talking about here, which I think you've heard about before, and you probably even know what it is already. And the other thing is to do with the possessive IFL. When do we need the apostrophe S on the end? When you get into talking about Mueller, Pape, and Mordaunt, you talk about Mueller's theory, Pape's take on this. You need to have an apostrophe and an S that shows a relationship between Mueller and the theory. Tiny note, which is, I've heard this so many times, we say matériel, but in English it's equipment. So you write material, which is not the term. But that's in sort of a very detailed level, very, very local level. If there's anything that doesn't make sense, you can drop me an email, or you can grab hold of me on Friday when I see you next. Well, until then, have a good weekend. Bye.